Hello people of YouTube, it's Deephack here, and welcome to the DCS news stream. Frantic in there, first. Tornado. No, it's not a tornado. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed that video on the HARM missile, AGM-88C for the F-16. Oh hi Tog. It's a very, very useful seed weapon and quite nicely modelled so far, I would say. It's working really, really nicely. Looking forward to that HTS pod. That's going to be exciting once that's implemented. Next week, I'm intending to actually try to do the joint helmet mounted queuing system. To demonstrate doing kind of high off-bore sight shots with the Sidewinder in air-to-air. I'm at last attempting that. It's been a bit of a challenge. But in the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed that. Oh hi Stevie B. Oh hi Mark S. Hope that you really enjoyed that video. And only a few more of these F-16 videos to go. And then we'll need to think again about what aircraft I actually tackle next. So that's going to be exciting. Please, as always, if you have any... oh, hi, Merch, yes. If you have any kind of questions, suggestions, anything like that, please put it in the chat. I'm always monitoring that, and it's nice to know what you guys think of these videos. But without any further kerfuffle, I present to you dotChuckles and the DCS News stream. Good day, sir.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yes, it is your bearded half-wit.
Well, that could be either of us, really. So we're going to need to be more specific. But yes, welcome to the stream, sir. It's good to have you on board as always.
Yes. Another week, another set of developments in our world of DCS world.
The world of DCS world.
Yeah. World.
Yeah, actually, that's a T-shirt design that we could do. The chat is talking about T-shirt designs. We should have
yes.
Oh hi, and we should have DCS world.
And it's not a bloody tornado.
It's not a bloody tornado. just no.
Yeah.
Yes. So
yes.
A slightly quieter week this week, although as always we do have a newsletter from Eagle Dynamics. And even though it's a slightly quieter week, we do of course have very exciting news in the form of the DCS Marianas map. And I wonder if I could take this opportunity to play their trailer, because as always they're pretty damn fine, and we can talk over the top of this and say what we think about it.
Yeah, it's it looks lovely. I mean, again, just ED, whoever they are commissioning to do this stuff, knocking it out of the park with their videos. I mean, the guy has or girl has an excellent sense of cinematography.
Yes,
and really knows how to put this stuff together. I wonder if it is glowing AMRAAM still. I don't know.
I just assume that it is, because glowing AMRAAM stuff was always amazing. I know that he was employed by Eagle, and I just assume that he still is, but
yeah,
maybe not.
Yeah, but there we go. The Marianas Island, and don't they look nice? I mean, the level of this it's a step change in a level of detail. It's. The closest we probably have is the Syria map.
The Syria map is extremely good. But I agree. This is maybe a step up. Well, in fact, Eagle claim that it's a step up above all previous maps. So, yeah. I've actually not flown it yet because I haven't had the time. But it's a free map, so there's no excuse not to. Download it, everybody give it a go, and see what the performance is like.
That shot that we just saw there of the night lighting, that's another big thing. With the Marianas map that we don't have on the other maps. I mean, the night lighting is just looking. It's a step change. I mean, the latest iteration of Edge is. It's pretty impressive.
Absolutely. Yeah, looking very, very nice.
And it's free.
Which is my favourite price.
And Apache.
And an Apache. Looking really, really nice. I loved the detail on the Seeker head there. It was looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just unbelievably excited for the Apache.
Yes, me too, and the Kaiwa.
Yeah. No, it's just it's looking good. But yeah, we'll talk about the Marianas map in a bit more detail later.
Yes, indeed. All news, of course, was further additions to the Hind. Development progress in the Hind. Petrovic will now be responsible for countermeasures and will automatically select new ones when required. We're now working on giving him an interface for the ASO 2V panel, which is the wee flicky switch panel that controls your countermeasures. We've also added a delay in response from the Petrovic interface. This delay emulates the time between commands being given and heard over the crew intercom. Work on the Petrovic voiceovers also continues apace.
Yeah. I mean, this is good. It's Petrovic. He's not really an AI at the moment. He can kind of, well, okay, yeah, he can find targets, but it's a little. He's a little bit dumb. Is Petrovic? He's not had his vodka and black bread yet. It's. They've got to wake him up a bit, but it's clear that it's because it's early days, and seeing features like this, getting him to do more stuff, is like, okay, all right, they're planning on taking it further. I mean, when Jester came out, that was pretty damn featured, and he did a lot of stuff, whereas Petrovic just, it's like you can get him to turn the weapon system on, and he can look for a target.
Pretty much,
and that's it.
Which is still good. That's hard to do, I think. As you say, Jester was far more competent at release, and one of the most exciting things about Jester, in my opinion, was the callouts that he had. So he was helping you fly your approach to the carrier. He was calling out enemy positions while you were in the dogfight, warning you about missile launches, all kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, and I think we need to see that in Petrovic. I think Petrovic needs to become a crew member rather than just, somebody that you chuck a pencil at, and turn the weapons on.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, he needs to actually, start becoming a part of the crew and communicating and things like that in the way that Jester does. And I've got no doubt that that's where they're going to head. I think they probably prioritized getting the airframe out rather than having Petrovic actually sort of do more meaningful work. So good to hear that he's getting some more features.
Yes. Petrovic will now inform you when reaching your desired course, altitude or speed, and he will confirm rules of engagement orders for ATGM launches. Although Petrovic has errors in determining distance to target, for now, he will dynamically range plus or minus 300 meters. In later updates, we will improve the error modeling by taking into account all factors that play a role in building this error. And then the other one I find really exciting is that they've implemented the ammo counter, which I like. I like these silly mechanical ammo counters that, like the MI8 and so on, has this as well. So looking ahead, our priorities are on Petrovic AI upgrades, including flying skills, further resolving of desync issues in multiplayer, enhancing ATGM sight picture in VR and 2D, and improving overall key binding logic. We're also actively working on known issues and newfound bugs. Thank you for reporting.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of just sort of backs up what we're saying there, is that Petrovic is going to be a little bit, a little bit more featured, because he kind of needs to be.
Mm-hmm. And then they call out the summer sale. So, yes.
Yeah, just on the summer sale, speaking of saving money, Verpal, I think the VAF tweeted this out a couple of days ago. Verpal are doing quite a big thing, is that they're basically covering your shipping, isn't it?
That's correct. They said free shipping on all orders. So that's rather exciting.
Now, for where I am in the UK, the shipping isn't too bad. It was a bit steep, but I mean, for some people, like, I think the shipping to the US is horrific.
It's going to be,
and for other parts of the world. And I mean, I know we've sort of banged on about their products before, and we are not sponsored by them. This is
No.
Although, hi Verpal, if you're watching this, I'd really like one of the collectives to evaluate.
Yes.
No, we're not sponsored by them. Like, genuinely, I've spent my own money on their equipment, and I find the stuff excellent.
Yeah, me too. I bought all my Verpal stuff, and I like it.
Yeah, and I think the shipping, it's already an expensive bit of kit, and then you've got to sort of pay another, 10, 15, 20% on top of that to have it arrive.
Yes.
To have them basically comp that, it's a big deal. So
I agree.
Go to their website, check their stuff out, and maybe it's time to pull a trigger on a really good new stick or throttle unit.
Or
and they've got new button boxes. Throttle. Yeah, and I think again I tweeted it out. Vav tweeted they've got a new box that's going to actually go onto the side of the collective.
Yes.
With switches and things that are perhaps a little bit more useful for helicopter operation. So good things coming. So yes, save money on your modules and save money on buying some new hardware. So
because we all know flight simming is not cheap. So wherever you can save that money,
cheap hobby. It is not a cheap hobby. No.
Yep. And for this one, they're calling it the JF-17, which is very, very nice. And your chance to take advantage of up to 50%. And I'm pretty sure that the JF-17 is one of the ones that is not 50% off. So funny that they're calling that out and then saying up to 50%. But hey.
I don't know what's going on with the JF-17 in sales, because that is never on a sale.
No.
I mean, and it's not like it's the new kid on the block.
Like they're currently giving, what does this look like, 10, 20% off, basically. Yeah, so it's in the lower bracket with regards to sales.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I really like it. I think it's a very, very good module. I like the JF-17, so yeah.
Okay, so apart from, like, what is it? Is it the I-16, the I-3, the crazy...
The little Ruski bird.
Yeah. Apart from that, this is the only module I don't own. Yeah. And the reason why is the price, because I know it's a good module, but to me it's a little bit like, well, there's the F-16 and I've already got that, because it's very similar,
It's very similar, but in some ways it's more capable, and it is of course more modern than the F-16.
Sure, but and I would like to own it. I'd like, because the completionist in me wants to have all the modules, but at that price, and I've been sitting here going, do you know what? I'll buy it when it gets on a sale, and it's just never gone on to a sale at a price that I'm like, yeah, that's worth it.
Yeah. No, they don't seem to be very keen on putting it on sale. But no, I think it's extremely good. I would recommend it, but because it's interesting that the avionics side of things is extremely capable. I would say more capable in some ways than the F-16, although with the exception of BVR, it only has the ability to, in a kind of TWS style mode, it only has the ability to bug 2 targets, whereas of course the F-16 can bug 10. I can't remember. I think it's 10. So yeah, a bit less capable there, but in the air-to-ground role, it can do a lot more than the F-16 in so many ways, and it has much more modern equipment. But then it has this funny engine that burns a lot of fuel, and it has quite small fuel tanks, and it has all these weird restrictions in its use, but it's a cool aircraft.
Well, they need to stop getting stingy with the sale, because that's the only way I'm going to buy it.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
They can put it on sale and make some money, or they can not put it on sale and not make some money. So, there we go.
Absolutely. So, moving on to the changelog, we had, of course, an update this week. Primary thing, of course, was introducing new free map DCS Marianas, which is very, very cool. A bunch of fixies in the Hind Mi-24P. They added some AI commands. They've added subtitles. Petrovich can now control the countermeasures, as was mentioned before. I don't know, is there anything else particularly? The Hind is kind of the main one that gets stuff added. The launch tone continuing after launch is now fixed, which is good, because I was getting that from time to time. So yeah, bunch of small fixies there. good stuff. Still some known issues. It is still in early access after all. Engines are not starting up for the operator at cold start if operator joined before engine start. So that continues to be a problem. If operator in cockpit and rearming of ATGMs is done, then the operator loses the launch authorization tone. To avoid these issues, second player as operator should join after engines are running and weapons are rearmed. So yeah, sometimes the operator has to jump out.
Yeah, and this is the sort of the multiplayer sync issues that we've been talking about since sort of hour one, that, you know, there's been issues with it, and they understand there's issues with it. They know they're there. They're working on it. It'll get fixed. I mean,
yeah,
we can only hope so. It's designed to be most effectively operated with 2 players in multiplayer, really. So yeah, I'm sure it'll get fixed.
Yeah, hopefully. The Razbam's AV-8B Harrier, a few fixes here. Most notable for me was the laser safing itself as soon as you try to slew the targeting pod. That it was doing that to me, and it was really annoying me. And general text visibility in the NPCDs is massively improved, I have to say. People have been complaining about this one since they changed to the vector style of drawing the NPCDs, which is now the standard for DCS.
Yeah.
As soon as they did that, the Harrier text looked really odd. It was kind of blotchy and fuzzy. Now it's completely fixed, I would say. It looks great. Really, really easy to read now. So that's great. Yeah. Some fixes for the Mirage 2000C. Nothing too exciting there, I would say. C101 continue to knock out the fixes and additions, which is really cool to see. That, of course, now is a released module at last. You know, that came out at about the same time as the Hawk. Ooh, I said Hawk.
Somewhere I heard thunder crashing.
and the C101 is still here, and they actually got into final release, and it's bloody good. Bloody good. Fly the C101, people. Deephack recommends. JF17 has a fix to DTT mode, which is actually kind of what I was just describing. They don't call it TWS, they call it dual target track, because it can only do 2. And they've just fixed something in that mode. Bunch of fixes in the F18, bunch of fixes in the F16. Nothing that really jumped out at me, but still good to have. I'm hoping that we get these last 2 features of the F18 soon, in the form of the ACLS and the approach mode for the auto throttle, because those are the 2 things that WAGs called out that would mean kind of the end of major development for the F18, and the team would then focus on the F16.
Yeah, I mean, these must be 2 really sticky problems, because, I mean, they're not really doing much with the F16. So whatever these 2 last things are taking in terms of resources, it must be a lot, because it's... I would have liked to have seen more development with the F16, and they have added stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not knocking that, but it's not been at the pace that we have seen with other modules.
No, that's true. That's true. The ACLS seems to me like an easy thing to model, because the autopilot just follows the needles. But the approach auto throttle, that's probably far more complex, because it's doing a lot more than just maintaining a speed. So that's probably a bit involved.
Yeah, that's all to do with angle of attack and countering, spool up and spool down times, and how that also ties in with how the aircraft is moving in relation to the needles. So yeah, there's quite some computation going on to make that work. So yeah, I can understand why that's going to take a little bit of time.
That's more of a deal. Fixed in the Mi-8, it can now raise heavy cargo without increasing collective. Surely you always have to increase collective if you want to take off.
I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. We've got some combined arms stuff. This is something they've been trickling in every update now. There's a little bit of love going on for combined arms. Fixed some desync, fixed some indications, added inertia after critical damage. So this is actually, I'm really happy to see this. You know how just now, like when you shoot a tank with a cannon, it just stops dead instantaneously.
Yeah.
Now they'll roll to a stop.
Yeah, Yeah. I mean, I'd say this every time they do anything with combined arms, that I really, really hope that they turn combined arms into a proper thing, and we end up seeing combined arms modules. And they've hinted every now and again it's it. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that has to happen. The maps need to be better, but the thing is we're now getting the maps that are better. They even mentioned in one of their posts, when they were talking about the Syria map and how detailed it was, they even mentioned go grab a vehicle and combined arms and drive around. And it's
I read that.
That's so I'd love to see like an M1 like module, or a Leopard 2, or a good SAM. Like that would be really awesome, with like SAM radar screens and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that just like amazing. Think of the multiplayer possibilities with that kind of stuff.
Did anyone ever play SamSim?
Yes. Yes, it did.
That thing was amazing. It was just a bunch of 2D control panels that you clicked on, but it was a really good game. And there was a decent simulation there of kind of the radar systems and missile capabilities. Tog is saying we should have DCS M1 Abrams.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
It would be brilliant. I mean, we've got well, I mean, I think the professional version of DCS basically has that.
I've no idea.
Like, because they obviously have another product, which I think is it called the Battle Space or something like that is sold to military contract, and they have ground vehicles in it.
Yes, yeah, and it also has naval operations and submarine stuff, as I recall.
Yeah, so DCS Abrams, why not? Do you know there's very few good tank sims out there, and I think taking DCS as a platform, it would be a no-brainer. You would attract a whole new market into DCS.
What about War Thunder? I know.
Yeah.
I really like the ballistics in War Thunder, but it's in no way a sim.
Yeah. I mean, the terminal ballistics in War Thunder is pretty damn good. Although Gunner Heat,
Gunner Heat PC,
Gunner Heat PC, that's it. I was really impressed with that. Like I've been playing that a fair bit. I mean, it's like a bit limited, but God, do you die quick?
Yes, yeah, and it's fairly horrifying seeing the jet of flame coming out of the top of a tank. I would not like to be inside a vehicle when that happens.
Yeah. But why not? DCS Abrams, WAGs, make it happen.
The community calls upon you.
I've said so.
Yeah. And then we've got a bunch of fixes for the F-14. Heat blur, as always, deliver. Yeah, small things. Nothing particularly. Reduced the burble vertical reach.
Yeah, they've toned the burble down. Apparently, it was a little bit like, a little bit much.
And added 2 new liveries, which is important. Yep, that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much it for the kind of main news. There were a couple of additional things that we wanted to go over. One of them was that the people have seen the Falklands map appear in the multiplayer filter.
Yes. So this is breaking news. Like we this what came out about an hour ago or so. That
I saw the post just a short while before it went online.
Now, if you remember, we tweeted out and we called out in the news speculation that Marianas was about to drop.
Yeah, for the same reason.
For the same reason. So, is Falklands about to happen? Is that what we're waiting for next week? Is that why this is a smaller patch? I'm
going to say no. And I'm going to give you a reason why, because what Razbam have shown us so far, has not looked like anything like they're kind of anywhere near being finished, for one thing. And the other thing is, I can totally believe that they're running like private alpha servers for testing purposes quite a long time before being finished. So I suspect this is some closed testing that's going on.
Crush my dreams, man.
Sorry.
Crush my dreams.
I think
I want to fly the Harrier over the Falklands, man.
That would be so cool. That would be so cool. But knowing the way that Razbam operate, I think they'd be shouting about it a lot more if they were about to release it. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
because they were showing videos of the Harrier in operation like almost a year before they released it, I think. Like, you know, they were showing images and video very early before release. So I don't believe it, but who knows? I've been wrong before.
But it does mean that the map is out there in a build and is in the hands of testers, which is that's a development. That's definitely moving on.
Absolutely. Yes.
Although, like I say, we only saw that happen 1 week before Marianas dropped.
Also true.
So that's.
But that tends to be the way that Eagle operate, not the way that Razbam operate.
I was gonna say exactly that. Actually, now that I think about it, is that they have their own testing system, whereas Razbam being third party, I guess they're locked into a testing service that requires ED's hardware. So
yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. No. Fair enough. Yeah, we might be away. We might be a ways away from it, but it's out there and it's in the hands of testers and it exists. A build somewhere. It exists.
Stevie B says, "I sense Chuck does not agree."
I didn't for a bit, but now I kind of do actually. So we've talked around. I've been persuaded.
I hope that I'm wrong. As is always the case.
Well, we'll wait and see for next week's newsletter.
Yes. And then the other thing we wanted. Sorry, you go ahead.
And if we were right, you heard it here first.
Always.
we continue to break DCS news.
Heat blur gripping.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Heat blur are not making a tornado; they're making a gripping.
Yes, indeed. So the other subject was the Marianas map again, actually. But on this occasion, we wanted to talk about what people have been saying with regards to performance. And also the scale of the map as well. Let's run the video again in the background, so we've got something.
Well, actually, just before you do that, can you bring up the can you bring up the map? Actually, let's just have a look at it.
That's a good idea.
Let's have a look at it. Yeah,
let's have a little peek here.
Let's have a look at the Marianas map. There we go.
Actually, I kind of need to move us because we're covering it. Oh.
No, that's fine. Yeah. That's fine, because what I'm going to say is 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. 10 years.
That took 10 years.
And I can cover it with my thumb.
Yeah. I mean, ow! Is every palm tree individually made by hand?
It maybe is, but by indigenous peoples using traditional methods.
Did it take? Was there like 10 years to sort of develop an sentience for the AI turtles on the beach?
It's a lot of water. That's for sure. And the thing is, actually, the scale is kind of decent. If this particular screenshot, if we look at this, they're showing like, what is that? 40 nautical miles is something like 2 centimeters on my monitor, at least. I guess that doesn't really map across other people's monitors. But we're talking about a very, very large map that has very small amount of land on it.
Yeah, I mean, they took years to develop this map, and I guess and right, okay, I'm shit stirring for comedy, like with it being a free map, priorities have clearly changed, and I would imagine that at some point
it was probably down prioritized at some point. Yeah. So I get why it's taken, because there's been other much more important things. Chat is asking us for confirmation on the source of the 10 years figure.
I remember hearing about Marianas way back. We're talking. I'm thinking at least 6 or 7. At minimum. And I think there was talks about another free map being developed, and it hadn't been announced as the Marianas, and that was about 10 years ago. So
actually, I remember this.
Yeah.
Not the name being attached with it, but they were going to have a second free map. Yes, I absolutely remember this.
Yeah, and that was about a decade ago. So like, fine, we're shit stirring for funds. I'm guessing, the priorities have changed, but still, 10 guys.
Yeah. Like I said, some people have reported that the frames are very, very bad. I think actually that Eagle were a little bit bullish in their newsletter this week, because they do have this little bit here where they say you should not be surprised to learn that this map requires higher performing PCs to get the most detail.
I'm pretty surprised, actually. I am pretty surprised. Because I get that perhaps part of the reason why this map took such a long time to develop is because it's so detailed. Its islands are incredibly detailed. We just commented on that in the video.
I'm trying to get the pictures for it, actually, but the links are not working. And
obviously there's some new engine work going on here. But why I tend to give ED some side-eye on that comment in their newsletter, and why actually, yes, I am bloody surprised, is because the landscape is tiny.
Yeah.
95% of this map is water. Mm-hmm. Now, if your engine can't handle that, maybe you need to do some refining and some optimization. Because now scale that level of detail and that graphics engine up to something like the Persian Gulf or Syria or Caucasus. And there's people reporting slideshows here. So I mean, guys, okay, yes, no, I completely understand new graphics engine needs more power, but when 95% of your map is water, it doesn't wash,
wash.
Yeah, see what I did there. And it's like, I'm not going to grudge the fact that new graphics engine needs more performance, but I would accept that is if they'd applied it to Syria. If they'd applied this level of detail to Syria or one of the larger maps, I'd be like, yeah, totally. What do you expect? No, I'm not surprised. But when they claim it with a terrain with landscape that is so tiny, no, actually I am surprised. And guys, that's a little bit like old ED coming back here, you know.
Yes, that was my first thought, actually, because the old school kind of Eagle response of "No, you're holding it wrong." That is old school for them. They have improved so much in recent years.
Absolutely, their communication with the community in recent years has been excellent, and they had a soul-searching moment after they were roundly criticized over the F-16, and they changed the way they communicated with their community. And this just seems like a little bit of a return to the bad old days, because it is very much, well, yeah, what do you expect? It's a new graphics engine. It's like, well, I expect it to be optimized because it's clearly not.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is my thinking.
Yeah, you were talking about shadow issues.
That's right. So some people in the forums reported when they turn the shadows down that it actually runs massively better. And that to me sounds like the lack of an optimization pass, because shadows need to be carefully optimized. They are a very, very intensive thing if you have very complex geometry. So I think they can fix it, actually. And I don't feel like this is the final performance level for this product. I feel like they still have some optimization passes to do, and they'll probably make it better. So for them to come out with the statement, "Oh, this is just how it is," get good, seems really odd to me, because they clearly haven't finished. They haven't done everything they can do, I think. Now, of course, I have nothing to base this on, but I feel like they can improve it.
yeah, I just felt as a communication, it was a little bit like that's not really productive, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
The yes, we're looking at we're looking at optimization. I mean, it does look fantastic.
It looks
I
pretty
mean,
amazing.
I'm not going to grudge that they have made a big stride in their terrain technology completely, but it's a postage stamp and it's running really badly. So what the hell will we need to run it when it rolls out to bigger terrains? That's my worry. And just throwing in the towel with not it's your fault at this stage is a bit like, guys, we had a chat about this and you'd said you'd learned your lesson.
Yes. On a somewhat related note, I've not flown Marianas, but I have to say, in this most recent patch, my frames in VR are excellent. I don't know what they've done. I've also upgraded graphics drivers at the same time, so I don't know if maybe there's a...
Well, yeah, it might be that. I mean, but, there was a series.
Yeah, so I've had a big graphics driver update, there's been Windows updates, and DCS is updated, but whatever it is, the end result is that it's running excellent for me. And it doesn't always run excellent. For me, DCS patches are kind of good or bad. Some of them run really smooth, some of them are choppy. This is a very good patch, for me, personally, performance-wise. It's running super smooth. So, there's that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not to be negative. I mean, it is a free map. I mean,
yeah. If you don't like it, don't fly it.
Yeah, if you don't like it, don't fly it. But there was just, for my mind, it was more the way that was communicated. That
Yes.
you just don't have a powerful enough computer, and it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I do.
And then the performance of Syria, I've got to say, is kind of amazing. Now, they are... I would say the Syria map is almost as detailed as this, but maybe not quite. It looks super good. But one thing I do notice with the Syria map is that they're very aggressive with the culling. I don't know if you've noticed this. So
yes,
you especially notice it in F2 view. If you look out over a city, as you're flying over a city, like the edges of the city, the buildings just suddenly disappear. And then as you're approaching certain things, they pop in. So that there is some really aggressive culling going on to get that performance, but the performance is good.
Yeah. Like I say, yes, it looks great, but when you scale it up to being entirely surrounded by terrain, as opposed to being surrounded by 95% water, yeah.
Indeed. Oh, the GF-17 flying over Marianas. Very, very nice. Cool.
It does look good.
That's all of our usual news items for this week, but you had some additional things that you wanted to talk about this week, Mr. Dr.
Yeah, I think, I mean, yeah, we always talk about DCS. That's our purpose. We are the DCS news. But I thought it might be interesting because we've had a bit of a slow news week.
Yes.
To talk about things kind of around the hobby. Now, I love reading, and I find myself, unfortunately, in a position where I don't get a lot of time to read. But I find that what I can do is I can listen to audiobooks whilst I'm doing other things like cleaning the house, doing hobbies, cooking dinner and stuff like that. So I've been listening to a fair amount of books, and I have a couple of books that I have been listening/reading recently that I thought might be quite nice to share with the community.
Absolutely. That sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, so the first one that I want to talk about, and I think this is going to trigger a few people in chat, but it's John Nichols' book, which is just out, called Tornado in the Eye of the Storm. We are all massive Tornado fans. I think it's fair to say.
Yes.
And I have to say, if you're a Tornado fan, this book is a must. I've read Tornado Boys and Tornado Down, and things like that. And this, if you kind of read the blurb on it, you think, oh well, this is going to retrace, territory that John Nichol covered in Tornado Down about being shot down in the Gulf. And I would say it is absolutely not that. What this book does, in a way that none of the other books I've read about the tornado, is that it focuses on all the shoot downs of the Gulf. It focuses on the
even the time that the Americans shot one down.
It's a bit glossed over. Yeah. And it focuses on the evolution in the Gulf War from starting low-level raids against heavily defended, prepared airfields, and then moving to medium-level bombing and then precision-guided munitions. But the thing that this book also does that none of the other books has really done in any detail is it also kind of talks about the home front. And what was happening back home, what was happening with the families of the air crews that had gone missing in the Gulf, and has some really quite candid information and stories that I had not heard before, particularly around how, in some respects, the RAF did a really bad job initially in managing the families. For example, all the wives and partners, their husband's pay was stopped.
Ooh, that's not
good. Because of an archaic rule that went back to the Second World War, and they were allowed an allowance that they had to go to a clerk at the base to get. So, details like that. But also fantastic insights into the operation of the tornado, and some of the most amazing descriptions I've ever read of what it was like to fly low level against a heavily defended AAA environment. It's the way John Nichol describes it, obviously using testimony from everybody who was there. It's the most terrifying thing I've ever read. And it is mentioned in Tornado Down that, the AAA is pretty bad, and, there's lots of tracers going on, but there's more detail in this. There's more minute by minute thoughts as they're approaching the airfield, and I don't know how they did it. I honestly don't know how they did it. It's a solidly good read. It's gripping. So it's a thorough recommend if you're a Tornado fan, if you're interested not only in the operation of the aircraft, but what it was like to be in a Tornado squadron and being around Tornado pilots. John Nichol's Tornado in the Eye of the Storm, absolute fantastic recommendation.
Sounds like a high recommendation for from dotChuckles on that one.
Yeah. So the next one is kind of a twofer. Because it comes into 2 volumes. So this is Harrier Boys by Bob Marston. Now, I say it's by Bob Marston, but it's kind of not. Bob Marston has collected stories from Harrier air crews in their own words. He basically got each pilot to write 4,000 or 5,000 words on a recollection they had of flying the Harrier. And the thing that I will say is this book is hysterical. It is hilariously funny, because the dry wit and sarcasm of your average RAF pilot comes out in gobs in this book. It's very human and very funny, but this probably has some of the most detailed description of operating a Harrier I've ever read. Down to the techniques that they would use for takeoff and landing. How they would operate the controls, how they would operate the navigational equipment, and how they would operationally fly the Tornado as well.
Sorry,
the Harrier we were just talking about. Yeah. That's fine. Incredible detail. And in fact, after reading Harrier Boys it changed the way I flew the Harrier in DCS.
Aha.
Because I suddenly realized, well, that's totally wrong. That's not how it gets done. This is how it gets done. So if you actually want to improve how you fly the Harrier, go read this book, because it gives away the secrets of how it was flown.
Sounds like I need to read it.
It's not. Honestly, it's brilliant. The first book obviously deals from the Harrier's development up until 1990 to just before the Gulf War, and some of the insights that it gives into the development of the Harrier is just absolutely fascinating. And lots of stories that I didn't know. But again, all the way through, it's it's just peppered with humor, and because it's in the pilot's own words, it just feels
Authentic.
Authentic, and you get a real idea of what it was like to be steeped in the culture of the Royal Air Force Harrier, the Harrier Force in the RAF. Especially when it starts talking about, being deployed in Germany and things like that.
So it doesn't cover the Naval Air Arm at all?
It is mentioned, but it is primarily the RAF. It is mentioned in the segments dealing with the Falklands War.
Yeah.
Because there was kind of a blending between the Fleet Air Arm and the RAF that when they went down to the Falklands. For another book on that, was it Harrier 90 something? I can't remember. There is a book that specifically deals with that story about the sort of the blending of the Fleet Air Arm and the RAF. But yeah, this book and its sequel, which I think you've got a picture of there, which deals. So that this deals basically with the Gulf War up to the ultimate retirement of the Harrier, but yeah, both. This is a twofer. Go and get both of them. It is basically charts the entire story of the Harrier and how it was flown and what it was like to be a Harrier pilot right from the start, right the way through to the end. I would thoroughly recommend it. And if you get done with that, the Boys series, if you go and look it up, they have the Lightning Boys, the Vulcan Boys, the Victor Boys, the Tornado Boys. There's
a lot of boys out there.
Yeah, lots and lots and lots of books for you to read or to listen to on Audible or wherever of RAF pilots in their own words. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. So
I know a bunch of people like Audible, so that's a good shout, I think.
Yeah. I've listened to these on Audible, and the narrator is really, really good. But yeah, these are my solid recommends. If you want to kill some time and read some great stories of daring do in fantastic aircraft, both of these, the Harrier Boys and In the Eye of the Storm, solid recommends.
Tog is asking, is this just from the RAF point of view, or does it also include accounts from the US Marines? I'm assuming it's RAF only.
No, it's from the RAF point of view. The Marines are mentioned because one of the very funny stories is about how basically one of the RAF pilots played hooky with a Harrier to go and display it for the Marines. He wasn't supposed to, and he thought, well, better to ask forgiveness than permission, because, and that came about, there was an air race. They wanted to, it was the Daily Mail put up a prize for the fastest Atlantic crossing, and they used the Harrier to do it. And it was from the top of the GPO tower in London to the top of the Empire State Building. So what they did was they landed a Harrier in a coal yard in London, and he just ran down the GPO tower, jumped in the Harrier, and took off.
Oh, genius.
And then refueled. And that's how they cut the time out. to get across the Atlantic. But initially, they had problems in landing in the US because everybody was amazed by the Harrier, and they said, "I can't believe the capability of this aircraft. Absolutely amazing. Which company made it?" And when they said, "Well, the British made it," suddenly everybody was like, "Oh, nah, all right, you're on your own." And the Americans wouldn't help at all because it wasn't made by an American company.
Yeah. Until later, the later ones, of course, in US service are McDonnell Douglas.
When it got licensed, yeah. But yeah, in that story, it is mentioned that the Marines really wanted the Harrier because they saw its capability for what it was, and basically this. This Marine officer kind of wined and dined this RAF pilot and said, "You need to come and demonstrate it." And ultimately, it paid off because they bought it. And I think the only other time was the Marines get mentioned is that there was a Marine exchange pilot who was sadly killed in a training incident upon his return. But yeah, it's very much focused on the RAF side, but you know, still of great value to an international audience as well.
Well, I think this is definitely something I'm going to pick up. I feel the need to read these two, so I'll look that out. Thank you for the recommendation, sir.
No worries. Like I say, it fundamentally changed how I flew the Harrier because it describes in a lot of detail how to do fixed pitch approaches, fixed speed approaches, and the different methods that was done, and vertical landing. You know, it's some real detailed operational stuff in there that I was quite surprised. I was like, actually, I'm surprised to see that in print. You know,
cool. Okie dokie. Well, that's pretty much all the topics that we have for this week. As we said, it's been a little bit of a quieter week, but I'm going to have a little look at the Marianas map and now these Harrier Boys books. As always, our man here, dotChuckles, has a Twitch.tv channel. Show him some love. Do you have anything lined up these days, or are you still too busy with work?
So at the minute, work is work is just mental. So I've kind of had to backseat what I'm doing with Twitch because obviously we've been focusing on the VAF.
Yes.
And my spare time has been taken up with sort of running the VAF Twitter channel and, you know, doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to call out chat. Frantic Stunts talking about Apache by Ed Macy is a very good book. Don't take everything in it as gospel. That's all I'll say.
Fair enough.
There has been some criticisms made, but as an entertaining read, Ed Macy's Apache is very, very, very good.
Excellent. But yes, nonetheless, follow dotChuckles. And as he said, you know, the VAF, we're always looking for new people to join. We've had a fantastic response, people joining the Discord server and coming to fly with us. That's going to be great. We're looking to actually expand the number of flying nights that we do per week. So people on the Discord server, please keep your eyes peeled for that one. And we're also looking to begin our human ATC program as well. So exciting times.
Yeah, we have somebody who's very interested in sort of getting quite deeply involved in that. So hopefully we'll be able to provide that as sort of more of a service for people. Also, follow our Twitter, Air Force VAF. It would be really good if when you see stuff being tweeted out, if you can share it and make sure that as many people as possible get to see it, because the more people that come along and do these kinds of things, the more things we can offer for our members.
Absolutely. And of course, I'm doing this every week, and premiering a new tutorial video every week as well. We're getting to the end of the F-16 series now, so if people have suggestions for an aircraft they would like to see next, let me know. I'm quite tempted to go ahead and do the JF-17 if people don't have strong feelings for anything else. I feel it's been very neglected out there. And a series on JF-17 would be very cool because there's a lot to learn. It has so much in it. It's very, very detailed in its avionics. And the only aircraft currently that has fully simulated DTC. I would love to see DTC in the Harrier, F-16, F-18. JF-17 has it now. Yes, so I'm doing this every week. Next week I'm intending to do the joint helmet-mounted queuing system in the F-16. So tune in for that next week. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like and comment. But as always, thanks for watching and fly safe. And we'll see you next week.